So Anna Thomas and I are very lucky to be sharing a couch with Ed Sheeran. Welcome back to New Zealand, Ed.
Hello.
Yeah.
So by all accounts, the show that you've just done was awesome. And once again, you're alone on stage. Just you and a guitar or many guitars. Does it not get lonely without a band?
Well, I've never really had a band for a full concert, so I wouldn't know. I'm definitely more in control on my own, which I like. I'm a control freak.
Oh, okay.
Not in every aspect of my life, but I'm definitely on stage. I want things to go my way.
And now, is this your fourth trip to New Zealand? You're packing a lot in. You've been on our local soap, Shortland Street, filming today.
Can you tell us about that,
Yes.
or are you embargoed?
It was a really grueling process. It was I had to really research the character and get into the character's brain and find out different ways to let the character breathe. And I mean, I was playing myself.
Playing yourself?
Right,
It was like, yeah, I don't know. It just felt like a role that I was born for. And
Oh, so this is the next step, right? Acting.
yeah, well, I mean, playing myself is definitely the next step for my career. I think, like being me. I think that's the way forward.
So New Zealand, you've seen quite a bit of the country. I remember we were talking to you last time in the studio. You were out and you went and I think you had dinner with Peter Jackson.
Yeah.
And what haven't you done in New Zealand that you really want to do in New Zealand now?
I haven't been to the coast. I haven't been to stay at Peter's big house with Hobbiton and stuff like that. I haven't really seen any of the countryside. I haven't gone surfing. I haven't had a flat white here.
Oh my gosh.
There's lots of stuff. I haven't been to an All Blacks game. You know, really, I've just played shows and done a song with the Hobbit. That's kind of, and got some Greenstone, but that's kind of it.
But you mentioned Peter Jackson, and you know some very well-known people, and you've played with some great people. Drop some names now. On your mobile phone, whose numbers do you have?
Most of my iPod.
Yeah?
Yeah. I don't really know what names to drop, really. I don't know.
I'm thinking telephone numbers.
Telephone numbers.
David
the
Cameron?
usual. No, but I met him
Okay.
a couple of weeks ago. He came to a show, really random, and halfway through the show was like interrupted by the guy that was running it and was like, "Yeah, you need to dedicate the song to the Prime Minister." I was like, "Oh well, my next song was going to be A-Team, so that's going to be a bit." And then I ended up playing it, and I spoke to him afterwards, and it was all in good humour and stuff. But he seemed like a nice enough guy. I don't really have opinion on his politics, but he seemed like a cool guy. Oh, the French label leaked that we were coming in at a certain time at the Eurostar, and usually there's never any problem coming off the Eurostar. We got off, and it was just me and my manager, and there was like 500 kids who kind of like came in, and it was all very stressful. There was a lot of crying.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
I don't really know what to do in that situation, because you can take as many pictures as you want, but eventually you get moved on by the authorities, and it all gets a bit stressful.
I've seen that craziness with One Direction when they were here, and of course you work with those boys.
But it's all there. If you notice, whenever these big artists go into towns and there's like thousands of kids outside the hotel, especially South America, it's all the label leaking.
Oh,
where they
right.
are. And they leak their flight details and they leak their hotel details just to cause a media frenzy.
And they get some great photos.
They get some great photos, but it's not. I don't think it's fair on the kids, and I don't think it's fair on the artists, because the kids don't get to meet them, and the artists get very claustrophobic.
So, following on from that, is there anything that you really miss? So you can't really go too many places without being recognised. Is there anything that you really miss about being anonymous?
Yeah, probably going to festivals. I can't go to a festival now and just stand in the crowd and watch a band. You can, but you then spend your whole time taking pictures, so then you can't really enjoy the act. So then you end up standing inside a stage, and then you don't get the same experience. So yeah, but that's probably just the main thing. Festivals and gigs, just going to them and being able to soak it in. I'm a very paranoid person in public spaces, so I just think being anywhere in public. I went to Disneyland the other day, and I just spent my whole time just like this. And yeah, I think there's that.
Because these days, when you're famous, you're super famous. You know, you Google your name, or you go for an image search, and there you are. A photograph I found of you giving Harry Styles a tattoo. What was going on there?
Ooh, I don't know.
It's out there.
We were both getting a tattoo at the same time.
Yeah.
And I just said, "Can I do?"
And did you do some good inking?
No, it wasn't that good.
He'd love you for that.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't know. I think he might have covered it up now. He's got some better ink on his arm now.
What was it of?
A padlock.
Oh, good. Everyone needs one of those.
Safe. Well, yeah. I mean, he's got some questionable. I mean, I've got some questionable things. We've all got some questionable things.
Yep. Okay.
Young people.
Yeah.
Advice. Now, you talked about your parents last time you were over here, and do you still get advice from them? Do you still ring them up and get advice from them?
Yeah, and if it's not me ringing them up by choice, it's my dad's emailing me forcefully and saying like, stop talking about shit that you shouldn't be talking about. So yeah.
And you listen to them?
Definitely. My dad's a fountain of wisdom, and yeah, it's good to definitely listen to him. Sometimes I steer off the track and he brings me back on it.
Right.
And there's a great story about you introducing your father to Paul McCartney. Is that the case?
Yeah, I've been able to introduce my dad to a few people. It's been great. My dad's just, I'd say probably the worst time was the Grammys after party, and we were all very drunk. And Chris Martin came upstairs, and of course Chris Martin's sober, so I'm kind of talking to him, and then he goes to sit down, and the head of his label comes over, and he's like, "Did you meet Chris?" And I was like, "Yeah, but my parents didn't introduce my parents to Chris." And Chris is obviously like in a conversation with someone, and Miles, the head of the label, just brings over my parents, sits down, and goes, "Is Ed parents?" And Chris is like, "Oh, cool, nice to meet you," and then carries on the conversation. My parents are just sitting there waiting to have a conversation because they're quite drunk as well, and then they sort of realise that they weren't supposed to be. So there's like moments like that where situations are misjudged, through alcohol.
Of course. Perfectly normal.
Okay, so no, you're 23, is it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 23. What the next phase? I've listened to your new song, love it. My 9-year-old son absolutely loves it, and he is a huge fan of yours. What's next for you?
The album. I put up a new song tomorrow, actually. So the second song that someone would have heard of the album. It's a music video. It's the first song on the album. So I hope people like that. That's next. I'm doing all these gigs around. I'm doing them all around the world. All these small gigs to kind of hype up the album, and then the album comes out June 23rd, or it's June 20th actually here. Yeah.
Right.
Working with legendary producer Rick Rubin, how much of an influence does someone like that have on your sound, being album number 2?
He definitely moulded the way that I thought, not only the sound but the way that I thought. I was kind of not interested in making the second album anymore by the time I met him, and he re-energised me and got me back into it and made it very important again.
You weren't interested?
I'd been doing it for 2.5 years and no one thought it was any good, so I didn't think it was any good, and then he kind of took it all back and shook it up a little bit.
Gosh, that's surprising.
How do you actually stay inspired and do you kind of rely on people like him, or what keeps you going?
A lot of life experiences, whether it be things that happen to me or things that I do to people. It's every day is like a learning process, and you can always find inspiration through your own mistakes or other people's mistakes. And I'd say it's a good trade. It's a good trade from like pain and heartache. Either side, you can find art, I guess, which then stems to happiness.
You seem, and this is a weird thing to say, but you seem extremely normal. Do you keep in touch still with your old mates at school?
They're the only mates I really keep in touch with, yeah. I saw 2 of them live in Melbourne, and we had a really messy night out before the Logies. Excellent. But yeah, no, they're my home county kind of has this veil around it that just rips everything off me as I drive into it. Like, it's kind of weird. Like, I was at an Oscars party, 4 different Oscars parties with all these amazing A-listers and names that you could drop and all this sort of stuff, and the next day I flew home and went back home, and I think all my friends knew that I was there, but they didn't really care. So like I walked in and they were like, "Oh, how's it been going the past couple of weeks?" And I was like, "Yeah, it's cool." And they were like, "Do you want a pint?" And I was like, "Yeah." And then that's kind of it, and then you just start talking about what your other mates has been up to and who's slept with who and who's doing what drugs, and just it's an interesting thing. My hometown, it keeps you very grounded.
Wonderful.
It's great.
This has been an absolute pleasure, and all the best with your new album.
Thank you so much.
Good luck.
Thank
Good
you.
luck. We love it.
Thanks, well.